It's good to hear. I don't know. Sixes is a lot more work than Highlander. I probably shouldn't be playing both at the same time while I'm in school, but whatever.
Yeah,
It
I just didn't
sucks.
have
Holy
time to
shit.
commit to like an actual team this season.
It's like having a
Yeah.
full-time job while fucking playing, or while being in college.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
imagine being in school doing Highlander and leading slash coach, or no, being on slash coaching two different teams at the same time.
I mean, that's what I'm co-leading Invite Highlander. I'm playing IM6s, and I'm mentoring two teams right now. So
Yeah, no, that was me the season I played with you guys. I was both like coaching your team and like the ETF2L team
uh,
while playing on them.
you guys have enough people here to start the review? I just got off like reviewing an hour and a half of my team of this map, and man, I wish we'd be playing Vigil or Swiftwater right now.
You mean you guys playing?
Are playing the Michael PC1 team. I think we can definitely beat them if we get our act together.
That guy's a cracked sniper. I played against him in
Playing
sixes.
Scout, but he's
His
okay
scout's
at
okay.
sniper. I don't know. My sniper, both last season and this season, are both much better than him. So, but that's not relevant. So, you guys ready to start this?
Yeah.
Okay. Ignore my W strafing. All right. You guys are main. I'm assuming you know the callouts for upward.
Yeah.
Does anyone
Yeah, I
need to
definitely
that?
know the callouts on every
Okay.
Highlander map.
I think our biggest issues are probably running the initial sack on first and pushing
Okay.
into last, and probably just for similar reasons too, of not getting people coordinated and people just not being in the right positions for a sack.
All right, that sounds like a common tale. You don't really need to sack on upward first, believe it or not. If you want, you can just take the fast exchange, but who's usually in your sack waves?
It is how I usually call it is that I have heavy pyro soldier run out the right side and I'll high and then demo high bombs.
Do you call the like specific time, like at the top of your screen?
Uh no.
I'd recommend doing that
usually
whenever you call it sack. Is like call. We're gonna go at like 4:30. It just clarifies to everyone and lets them be in position for it.
yeah, I usually do a like 3-2-1.
That 3-2-1's fine, but I think it's a lot better at
It's
least for
better off the
sacks if
timer.
it's
It's like the
off the
same thing
timer.
as calling a sack wave on Koth.
Basically, yeah, it's just more helpful to everyone. But what was I gonna say? So are you? I don't know. I'm assuming your spy's being integrated in it, but you don't really need to run a sack wave on upward first, at least, unless there's like other points where the sack is a problem.
Yeah.
I usually go for telly, or that's what.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes their spawns a lot longer.
I think we're too concerned about fighting on tracks and that sort of area instead of like trying to take space on playground. Because as soon as I call for a heavy, like, oh, playground's free, it's just their sniper up there, and he walks in, then we just like take first. But I feel like we're not really focused on like actually getting in on playground. And
I mean, what you get on playground is generally going to be after your
yeah.
Uber exchange, which that's the most important thing to consider for this.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that the way you guys take your Uber exchanges is you're going to have your demo get Ubered on here top left. Might have your pyro in there if possible. And I think I've told you guys this before, but the goal of every single offensive Uber on payload is get their Uber out, kill the gun. On this point, in my opinion, the most important thing to do is get their Uber out, because it's pretty easy for the other team's med, if your Uber's really bad, to just not have to use it all, and then you have a problem, you're at full disad, and your Uber is worthless. So as long as you get their Uber out with the Uber exchange, that's fine. And everyone else that's not in the exchange, just be playing back, preserving crit heals, not taking damage, crushing for the spy, everything like that. And you have multiple options for your post. Obviously, you want to get playground control to make sure that like the respective players can bust. Scout, soldier, Pudis, maybe your NG. A lot of this point though really depends on your sniper getting set up in a really good spot. So, for example, top left is usually reliable to be in post fights, because look at this ground. You're denying a lot of space. You have an entry point in the gun. You can see them escape. Holding on this right side is also pretty good in the post, because you got all this angle. You can also peek playground. If you want, you can do like the pub spot up on a roof. You just have to be careful on roof. You're pretty vulnerable to the spy. You want to go take a peek there. For this corner, that also works. So, just make sure you guys are clear where you want to end your Ubers and what the goal is going to be of them before you take them. I mean, obviously, if you like already know, like by default, like get the Uber out, kill the gun. That's the goal of our Ubers. That's fine. You don't have to really specify that, but try and call where you're going to end your Ubers, and people should play accordingly. So if your sniper can get support here, top left, after you guys like call, all right, we're ending on top left, we're ending on top left, or like we're ending on tracks, then that's good. Same thing goes for right side. And really, I just once you guys have playground control, independent of like if your sniper gets good picks for playing here in the post, uh, you guys should try and communicate when you're ready to bust through. Everyone just needs to charge in at once. So where your playground players just run at them here, your guys in top left or not top left necessarily, but tracks can just take space here, and your sniper can take an angle again from either or spot, and your spy can go for something behind. That's basically going to be the goal for most of these post fights is get playground control. Once you guys have it, you guys need to communicate when you want to bust. No one baits during the bust. You all commit together, and you should be able to take it most of the time. If you're really struggling to get playground control, then just work around your sniper, either top left or right side. They're both pretty good angles. Uh, Sniper's not too vulnerable to spies around his team. Gonna have HP. That 180 is going to be pretty consistent on him, and pretty good angle to take most of this ground. So that's how I see pushing upward first most effectively. Is there anything else you guys have to ask about it? Hold on, I'm looking at a score again. Do you guys not have any other questions about pushing upward first? Is that it?
We're good.
Okay. I'll just like continue going on pushing. Pushing second. You have a few options. If they like drop a ton of like crucial players, I'd say leaving first. Then if you just want to just take ground on a hill, that's fine. Like if they're down like I don't know, like sniper, heavy, and like demo, I'd say just like take your like just walk up this space on hill, work most of your team, make sure that players in tunnel are spotted at least, called, because that can cause a lot of problems. If they manage to get a lot of players out, then what I'd recommend instead, actually, and this is kind of similar to Vigil Second, is you're gonna want to actually take your heals into tunnel. You're gonna want to because it's kind of like Vigil Third, where even if you might have a lot of the ability to like push their team because they're down a bunch of players, the cart is what really matters. And if the cart time is not good enough to where you're going to be able to get it in time whilst their team is dead, then it's kind of worthless if their team's smart. But what I think is a good idea is once the carts are going to the mouth of tunnel here, you're going to want to tank your heavy and soldier, give them crit heals, get them to bust here top left, because that's going to be where the people are going to have the most ability to deny cart. Cart time gets shut down if there's like a heavy soldier being really annoying here. So if you guys just want to pressure that, take your heals in, crit heal your soldier and heavy to go take that. That's very good. Very often you'll bully them out of tunnel or just straight up kill the soldier / heavy. Very good picks for the post. Not post, just like Uber exchange. And once you're done with that, I'd say make sure that tunnel's clear to where cart time is able to get through and that those guys are pushed out and you're heavy and soldier in a good position for any potential post fight. That's when I'd say you can take the bulk of your team uphill. So it's usually going to be your demo man and medic, obviously, your pyro, your sniper's going to want to peek with your team here as well, and your scout. If you want, you can have like your NG too. But that's when I'd say all things being equal, you're going to want to take this and peek together. Get the Ubers out, standard goals of the Ubers, get their Uber force, kill the gun, make sure people don't die, especially to the sniper during it though. Make sure they can bust post. And when the post is called, it's important that the players inside and also your spy, if he's just C&Ding, waiting for a pick, or just on invis watch, are able to communicate when we're all going to, similar to upward first, bust together. So you're gonna want to communicate. All right, we're gonna bust now. So your soldier and heavy, it's 500 HP, going through side, doing big damage to people here. Your demo and scout are gonna be shooting them. Your sniper's gonna be angle. Your spy's gonna be go for any picks. Very good. That's what you want to do. So that's how I see basically second as going if like their team's not all dead. If they are all dead, like you just like wipe them all on first basically. You can just walk up most of your team. you're gonna want to make sure still that they have side cleared, because your cart's gonna get delayed otherwise by like a soldier and heavy being annoying, killing your scout and NG. But if they're like all dead, you guys can just take kill for free. I just say like have all of your combo. That means your Putis, like your sniper. Just take hill. Hold this ground here. You really have no reason ever to drop like around this corner. All you're really doing is being really exposed to the sniper sight line, and you're just in a really bad vantage point, and you're kind of stuffed between a rock and a hard place. There's really no reason, in my opinion, to drop down to like go and run into them unless you're like very confident with perhaps a spy call. Their heals are like really close, and you guys think you can collapse and get their med. Otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend dropping down if you guys hold this ground, because this is what matters right here. There's no reason to have to drop down here into this huge sight line, into this huge spam angle to get this cart. There's literally no reason whatsoever. You can deny cart by just having your demo spam from a height. Your Putis can be silly here, pressure players that run in. Your Pyro can just go sit around your HP, it's going to be sitting here. Your Sniper can sit on rock. Gets a very nice angle on their entire team. There's no reason, in my opinion, to have to drop down from here. You just get destroyed by the Sniper and spam. And in my opinion, that's the best way to push upward first. Or not first, second. Is there any questions you guys have about that, or no? No? Alright.
Again, no.
No, not really.
That's alright. I'll move on.
I
to
might
third.
have missed when you were going over this, but if they have like several players hard holding inside the tunnel, it's just your flank down there. How do you dislodge them?
Well, I said earlier, like when the cart is going to be into like the mouth of tunnel, I'd say like around this point, you're actually gonna want to have your heals rotate here, and your heavy and soldier are generally going to be the players that get buffed up, that are going to just run into the guys here. During this, you can get spam on this. It's like a Swiftwater second or Vigil second, where you're going to want to clear side tunnel those points respectively to be able to get players in a good position for any potential post fight. It's similar to here in upward second, so your heavy and soldier are going to want to get crit healed here to walk into side. Your demo can get pressure on here too, because there's no real reason for your combo to be immediately pushing a hill, all things being equal, if their entire team alive. Once the cart's not even like close to being able to get pushed out of tunnel. So there's no reason not to just support your heavy and soldier and cart pushers here by giving them good HP and good damage on like their heavy and soldier being here annoying a cart. And that either bullies them out, straight up kills them, and more important than anything, it lets your soldier and heavy be in a really good position for the post fight here. So that's, in my opinion, how I think the best way is to clear side tunnel that is being annoying to your cart pushers on second.
Okay.
All right. Terrible. Rocket jumping.
Immediately after pushing second, is it better to have send your players into house or to send them just up tracks?
You mean apps right here?
No. After second, like after, you
After
push
second? Oh, yeah.
do you push
I'm
them
going.
up
I was
tracks or
gonna
through
go on
house?
to third.
Alright.
There's multiple options you have. Something that my team likes to do is usually for like the initial amount of time where the cart's moving along here, I'd say up to like this part of tracks. Usually I like to take my HP and tank Humphrey while he just pressures out players that are either cat or sniper here on roller coaster. I wouldn't be too afraid of the sniper here. If he's called, he's really exposed and far away from his team. It's usually going to be hard for their med to rotate for a buff, so usually he's only going to be 125. So your sniper can just get like take the 180, charge up a 150. They don't have a sniper now. Not to mention he's really like exposed to like a decloak. So if your spy wants to like go here, just stab him. Same thing if right here. I'm god awful at jumping, but you get the idea. He's pretty exposed to those things. He's pretty exposed to spam too. So if you guys just pressure together at the same time and your med baits a bit, then he's pretty easy to pressure out or just straight kill. And that basically just enables your cart pushers to be able to get good time without them having to be afraid of like eating shit to spam from either cat, like their soldier, or their demo here on tracks, because they're actively being contested by your heals here. During this period, I think having your heavy and soldier take cat, so it's like busting the two up here. Again, 500 HP of goodness. With a buff, it's even better. And your sniper can peek with them during this entire period. So heavy and soldier, clear cat. Usually it's just going to be a soldier here. If they whip their heavy up here, that's kind of annoying too. So your heavy and soldier can be sent up here. Make sure you guys are communicating when you want to do it. If you can integrate spam from tracks, that's also pretty powerful. So you'll ideally clear it. Their soldier / heavy are going to be bullied out or they're going to be dead. And that gives a really good angle to your sniper. So sniper's going to be able to peek here. And I would keep 1 of 2 players sitting in for sniper most of the time until you guys are waiting for the post fight. So you can keep your soldier just sitting on your sniper. You can keep your heavy sitting in your sniper if you want. And that basically just enables your sniper to get a really OP angle. And combined with the pressure from your demo man spamming tracks with heals, it's very difficult for their team to be able to retake ground here, to be able to deal with cart without losing crucial players to the sight line and the spam pressure. Once you clear cat, if you want, you can send your Putis in position for the shithouse play. You know, your heavy just being really annoying at shithouse during the post fight. So your heavy, you can just like go here, head glitch, shoot their doctor / like dispenser sitting there. The Uber exchange, etc. Once you do get Uber, I think we all know that like going up main here for the slope is the standard place to go. Take the demo pyro. So demo pyro going to be here. Make sure you call what's in. Make sure that cat is cleared when you do it, and that bend is like spotted at the very least when you do, or else you might have an unfortunate early force. So like their heavy being going Mike's not really Mike's way, just going like crazy Reddit mode here. They're soldier spamming your med from up top. Just make sure that you spot that and make sure catwalk specifically is clear. But yeah, as usual, our standard goals of the Uber exchange, unless it's Uber ad, is going to be get the Uber out, kill the gun. If we do both those things, great. We're on an excellent track. We're having a really good post fight. So demo pyro, they're going to be doing this. If we want, we can have our soldier during this fight trying to take bend. If we want, I would recommend that more for the post fight than the initial exchange, unless you want to have your heavy come here too instead of having him shithouse. Both are decent options. So, but yeah, get the gun, get the route, etc. Your sniper's ideally going to be posted in a good angle. Cat, as usual, is probably the best, most consistent thing you can get going. And for the post fight, either your soldier can go here through cat, make sure him and your pyro are buffed up when you do. Bully the heavy out. If you want, your demo can get some good pressure on it as well. And if your heavy doesn't want to go shit, he wants to just take bend, that works too. That's a very good idea, in my opinion, to take. And during this, ideally, since you have, you know, a multi-pronged maneuver, you're going to have pressure from catwalk, you're going to have pressure here from slope, you're going to have pressure from shithouse. During this, your cart pusher should be able to get a lot of cap time up where it can get to the point of, you know, capping. So, really, main thing for this is people just need to make sure stuff is cleared, stuff is spotted, knowing their defined roles and positions for post fights, and making sure when they do stuff in post fights, they are buffed. So, really standard stuff, I feel like. Is there any questions you guys have about pushing third outside of that?
What do you how do you typically incorporate your spy into these pushes?
I completely forgot about the spy class. Wow. Something that like Demento said to my spy is that usually this point's kind of a cuck mode point for spy, but
This whole map is.
yeah, upwards are not a good spy map. But if you want to like coordinate something to kill their heavy and bend, that is pretty viable too. If their sniper is like exposed, playing like out of position, that can be pretty good too. If you notice that people aren't being, you know, crusty by shithouse, if you want to go for like an RNG decloak here, kill the demo or sniper, that's very crucial.
That's kind of what I usually go for.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to do that, that's fine. Most players in lower divs, especially scouts, don't really value that. And as you always, if you want to like be really sad, you can just pester the gun with the enforcer. Sapping is really hard to do on this without dying, and most of the time, if your team is competent enough to where they can get vantage point spamming the gun, it'll go down on this point. So you don't have to run enforcer, but if like it's like Great Depression mode and like there's really you just can't get into a stab, that's fine. But
Great Depression.
just try to like integrate stuff with like your players that can pressure bend if you want to kill like their heavy. If their sniper like demo are overextended by themselves, those are also very good picks. So
Okay.
just yeah. This is not a spy map, so
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, most
Running
spells do.
Enforcer and just sitting in the spiral staircase is like something that helps if you are completely impoverished and you have nothing else to do. Because taking down the sentry does help for Uber exchanges.
Yeah, that's something your spies are taught like on
Yeah.
Swiftwater and Vigil too. It's just
True.
no good spy maps. Okay, we can move on.
Sorry, I'm like typing this.
Yeah, I think the stream is frozen at least for me.
Well, that's because I just I alt tabbed. Is it back now?
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah.
He's back.
All right. Yeah, it's third basically. What's our next team? All right. Last. Oh man, last is a point that if you don't know what you're doing or people are tilted, it can be disastrous. So, you have multiple options for last. Again, like a lot of stuff, you're gonna want to have people having multi-pronged maneuvers when you do stuff, and people needing to have defined roles, position, and good health in post fights. The standard place where you're going to be taking most of your Ubers is going to be from lower. You do have to be really careful, though, when you are pushing from lower at basically all times, that you can't get collapsed on, either by like a scout soldier just dropping down here and like the rest of their team walking in. So make sure you have at least one person relegated if their classes are up to looking behind in posts, or like when you guys are walking through initially, so you don't get a really unlucky force. So usually it can be your pyro. If you have like most of your team there, you can relegate other people to doing it. As you walk up here, take the Uber. Be careful of traps, because that can like all around here, the railing, etc., can be a big problem. So just make sure that someone spots those and clears them. And if you can, try to take as much ground up this wall as possible without having to use. If they're smart, they're usually going to have someone spamming it, and that's fine. If that's happening, just pop in. You know our standard goals, although it's kind of hard to kill a gun at this point. Get their Uber forced out. Make sure you guys are in a safe position for the post. Down here at stairs is okay. You just have to be very careful that you can't get collapsed on here. And what is more crucial than anything is when the post is called, the players that are going to be in clock know what they are going to do, which is going to be bust through. So that's going to be generally your soldier, your heavy, and your sniper can take this angle here too, as well, to potentially cut their team off. So your soldier and heavy are going to get whipped through here in clock. They're going to bust through. While that's happening, your combo is going to, regain their bearings, rewalk here, and again, you have a glorious three-pronged maneuver where you're going to have your sniper peeking from clock, your heavy and soldier running into them in tiles, and your combo is going to be retaking this ground from stairs. If you guys are struggling or you're just at disat at any point, if you want, taking a sack wave similar to like say Vigil Second can be pretty effective. I wouldn't fully commit most of your team to doing it though. The sack wave is basically going to be the same thing as what you're going to have for your Uber exchange, but your medic isn't going to be there. So you can send like your demo and pyro up main stairs here. You can send your heavy and soldier clock. Your sniper can try to go for some stupid peek through clock, and your scout can run your medic to a safe position. It's basically going to be the exact same thing that is going to be during your Uber exchange, except your medic isn't there and people are dying to try and get the force out of theirs. So just make sure your scout runs your medic out to a safe spot. If you want to like completely go to spawn, that's probably fine. Although I don't, if you guys are intelligent, you could probably just play like around here. Just make sure that during this time when you guys are rallying here to get buffs, I'd say like around here, this is usually a good point because your demo and pyro can get buffed here while your heavy and soldier can get buffed up there. Make sure that main is being spotted, because smarter soldiers and smarter scouts will take advantage of the fact that there's not much here. Your engineer should be watching main, by the way, like at all times and upward last. Forgot to mention that. But make sure that someone spots that there's like a soldier or a scout trying to go collapse in your med during this time, so your med doesn't get forced or dies, because if your medic dies during the sack, well, most of the purpose of it has been pretty devastated. Not entirely, but still, make sure your medic is in a safe place during this, and you have defined players ready to walk your medic out. So, that's how I think you should take sack waves. If you want, you don't have to send your soldier with your heavy during the sack. And also during the post fight as well, you don't have to send your soldier with your heavy during the sack, but I usually think it's not sack the post fight. If you want to, not there, well, you can do here, up through lower here. If your soldier wants to bomb here, that's a decent option as well. It's another place. If your soldier is able to get down here in Harry Potter and he wants to jump down here onto the pack, that's also very effective. If you are somehow able to get here during, what do you call it? Sorry, I'm alt tapping right now. I don't think your soldiers here unless they are, or whatever. If you get down here and it's fast before their entire team's able to set up, and you just want to go get a fast bomb onto like their med or sniper or something like that, go for it. Especially if it's pretty early on where your combo's not able to push. That's a pretty good bomb angle. I got dropped by Catalyst last weekend because I trusted my pyro, but we're not going to talk about that. And yeah, that's mostly getting control of upward of tiles. After you get control of tiles against better teams, then again, you guys are playing main, so I don't think that teams are going to be as intelligent as this, but just assume they're going to play as properly as possible. Breaking the pub hold, which is becoming more and more common nowadays as people learn how to play upward properly, is kind of similar to every other point in this map where your sniper needs to be in a good position for a post fight, and you need to not and you need to be able to call players to bust in at the same time. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. Soldier knows this. Make sure your soldier is able to spam the dispenser here, so your spy is able to get in a position to harass their NG or take the teleporter, cause some chaos against their team in tiles. I'm sure Crash already knows that.
The
Yeah,
soldier's
I need to
not
call.
here, sadly.
Yeah, I need to call that more often. I
Yeah.
feel like I
Spy's
kind of just
useless in tiles, so it's like really.
I kind of I've recently just been gotten into the habit of just running Enforcer Deadinger on last and just like spamming their sentry because that's kind of really all I can do if the dispenser's up.
Call your soldier to do that. I don't think you need a forfeit having invis to get the dispenser down.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah, I'll call our soldier to do that more.
yeah, but yeah, the main thing about breaking their pub hold, which I didn't really go over defense yet, but pub hold either top left or bottom left, similar. So usually your sniper can get worked into a decent angle, and you guys can get good pressure in the gun at the same time. So whether it's a Enforcer or 150 charge shot by your sniper and just spam by your demo and soldier, all of it works. Just make sure the gun goes before you guys call it time to bust through. So your sniper can get a good vantage point, get crucial picks. You have Uber or not, maybe you just have good health, maybe what was I going to say? Maybe the cart is just really close and their team's very passive. Just call a time when you guys are ready to all bust through together and make sure that the team is pressured out from either top left or bottom left to be able to get this cart time. Your spy can call collapse here potentially if they're sitting bottom left. So, you can just have your combo walk at them. You can have players on main walk at them. Your sniper can get a good angle and their entire team sitting there. Once they're cleared from there and you guys get substantial cart time, you should be able to get the cap relatively easily. The slope here at the end is kind of long, though, so it can be obviously very annoying to get through if there's players that are allowed to spam it. So make sure once you, quote-unquote, wipe their team, most of their players that can shoot card are dead, you have people watching basically every spawn door exit. So soldier sitting here top left is good. Demo can watch their main shutter, and your sniper can get an angle here in top right and top left. All those are fine. Just make sure that their demo or soldier or scout can't kill your cart pushers for free, because I'd get pretty pissed off that happened to me. Make sure you call. There's a Puda sitting what I like to call the God spot, because that can be very annoying to cart. And that's most of pushing upward. Is there any questions you guys had about it?
Is there anything for the engineer to do when pushing last except sit in main? Like
You
I've
mostly
tried
just sit
the
in main and then,
level 3 meme, but it seems less effective here than on other
level
payload
guns
maps.
are fine in main. What else are you gonna do once you get your level 3 teleporter up? Your sniper's usually gonna be sitting, if you guys don't have tiles yet, block with your soldier and heavy, and once you guys do have tiles with the rest of your combo here. So that drop for NG isn't really there. So I don't know. Really, if there's nothing to do on payload offense NG, make sure all your gadgets are fully upgraded and trust for the spy when in doubt. Those are like the two things I used to do, and it worked pretty well for me last season.
In the last few upward scrums, I don't think we've actually been taking clock early enough before I push. Because I'm not able to get an angle on clock at all, and I'm usually just sitting around main. And if I'm sitting around a main, I just get walked
It's
into by the
important
scout, I get
for you to
stabbed, I get
remember that
gunned
when
out.
you do peak clock, I don't know if this is happening, that you do it during the post Uber, because otherwise
Yeah.
it's really easy for like their soldier to just like two rocket you, even if you have multiple players here, because you're like a number one threat to their team if you're posted here, because their
Yeah.
medic is basically pinned, and most of the other players in their team. So
Okay.
to make sure you're peeking at during the post, ideally when your soldier and heavy are already busting through here. So like when your soldier and heavy are running through here onto their team, that's when you want to get your charge shot up.
Yeah. I think they've
And if
just
you
not been
want, you
getting
can have
through.
your MG sit with you there because you're kind of exposed to spy there, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Doesn't really matter.
Of note is that we've been having our heavy run combo for post fights in the first exchange up the stairs.
That's fine. I am not really a fan of taking the heavy Uber up stairs because
No,
sorry, come on.
What? Oh,
Okay.
We haven't
Oh, you
been
meant just like
taking the
having
Uber
your.
on heavy. We've just been having
yeah.
him like in the combo.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I know what you mean. Sorry about that. That's fine. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Most of this time, your scout's usually going to be with your combo. On upward last. Your scout getting cart time here is kind of a complete joke if they have a gun and their entire team set up on tiles. So you don't really need your heavy here because you're going to have your scout with the rest of your team. Not with your
I
combo.
feel like heavy playing with combo there has been kind of why we're just not breaking into clock super
Yeah,
easily. I think
I'm
Brutus
not really a
having
fan
trouble
of.
like getting the
Yeah,
DM to get
I
into there.
think Soldier and Heavy are a very powerful buddy system on most payload maps, and that includes Upward too. So I think having just 500 HP of meat be able to bust through clock during a post fight is incredibly powerful. That's why I think it's better for Heavy to just play clock of Soldier and Sniper rather than having him play with combo, because your scout can just do most of like what the Heavy could be doing, because the Heavy's not really going to be able to do much during a potential post fight up here that the demo, Pyro, Scout can't all do very effectively, when he can be doing a lot more work through clock because of his HP with the soldier. So I don't think Heavy on combo is that great pushing upstairs. If you guys want to do it, that's fine. I just think he's so much more valuable pushing clock of soldier. Feel free to try both, though. It's that's what scrims are for. Is there anything else you guys had to ask?
Oh yeah, who should be leading the Uber up the stairs?
Usually demo. If you want, to, your pyro can come in because if their pyro is like half intelligent, he's gonna get it stuffed. But most Ubers, all things being equal, your demo is gonna be leading them. If your pyro wants to come into the Uber bit, that's fine too. If it's ad, you can get your scout in, but usually it's not gonna be ad. During the exchange, your scout can just do the classic stuff of just crusting for the spy, making sure that he is spotting any players that go lower or drop down here. If he wants to do that, that's fine. Just like I said, make sure during the post fight you have one person relegated to looking behind. Pyro can usually do that just fine because he's already going to be looking for the spy behind your demo and medic. So he can do the same with the scout and soldier. Yeah, usually I'd say demos leading the charge in these Ubers.
Okay, we've been having Pyro lead it just so that I can like preserve sticks for the post fight.
If you want to do that, that's fine too. Pyro can lead. Just from my experience personally, I've usually had demo lead most of my Ubers on payload to offense. If you want to have your Pyro take the lead, that's fine too. It's just that against teams that don't initially pop right away, Pyro Ubers are usually difficult to get a lot of initial pressure on to make them have to flash a lot more players. So, although mostly I don't really think on this point the length of the Uber is as important as just getting it out. So if you guys are just intelligent to know where you are going to end, that's what matters. So is there anything else you have to ask about it? Upward last at
Should
all?
we go for dry fights?
Dry fights? I mean post like well basically the same. Is this when you guys have tiles?
Oh no, getting to tiles without an Uber.
Well, basically the same thing with like it's basically the same thing as the post fight. You're gonna have your heavy and soldier clock, ideally buffed. Your demo pyro scout are gonna walk through lower together. Your NG's watching main. Your sniper can peek. Behind your soldier and heavy as they bust through clock. And your spy is going to be in GL mode, but he can try to annoy their NG or potentially take the telly if he's stupid. It's basically the same thing. If you want to switch things up a bit, like having, say, your sniper peek through stairs of your combo, that's fine too. I think it's pretty limiting compared to clock. If the gun's dead, you guys can get a lot of cart time during this too. But it's mostly going to be the exact same thing as the post, but there's no Uber involved. So if you want to switch like individual players up, that's fine. Like I said, if you want to send your soldier to bomb through either like drop here, I'm god awful at rocket jumping, but you know what I mean. Your soldier drop here, or through Harry Potter, that is incredibly viable too. Which is usually difficult to get there. Okay, ignore my awful jumps. If you know that their team might try to escape through like this part of tiles, if your sniper wants to peek main, that can be pretty good too. It basically locks them off. So that's what I consider for most posts, or not post dry fights. It's similar to what you do before, but you can switch things up.
I think the biggest issue I've had on sniper is not being able to get worked into clock. I was mostly just playing around main, and so I'd have the scout walk into me, or this just soldier just drop down to kill me sometimes even, or like
Yeah, you're
the spy
pretty
comes out the second,
isolated
'cause I'm-
main. It's really
and
just your NG with you.
and I'm taking like the shittiest SES ever, where they're like either like hiding around crates or Aeon peeking in tiles, and I have to have it
Yeah.
called so I can preem it. When we don't have clock, is main really just still the place where I should be? And I should
Main
just
is
pressure the-
probably fine to try and peek if you think you can. It's just difficult to get an angle in if their team is
Yeah.
properly positioned. But
I feel like
if we're
sometimes
just waiting for a post to where we can like have players bust through clock. If you want to go take a shot, if you want to take an angle there, that's fine.
yeah.
This last point's really not fun for sniper though if you don't have clock and don't have tiles. So
Yeah, I think the biggest issue I've had is I just die before it's post, and then when it's
yeah,
post, I can't really get into tiles quick enough, and I can't help pressure and clock.
you just
quick
gotta
enough.
like play slower in that case if you're dying too
Yeah.
often before the post fight. Like this is something that like my sniper complained about a lot last season, and a lot of snipers do this, is they don't really recognize that peeking through clock isn't really the best if they are already like disciplined, in proper position, have good HP, are making sure to clear every angle. So if you just like peek this when like all things are equal, their entire team's here, you're gonna die to 2 rockets from their soldier, even if you're surrounded by players, because you are a #1 threat when you're posted here in clock. So just gotta wait for the post to get called or the dry fight to get called through tiles when that happens.
All right, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Anything else for pushing upward last?
I have one last question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's good if the cart's not up and the meds are both like say 30% even? Do you think it's good to just send like a quick sack barring the cart pushers?
If you guys want to take a sack in, that's fine. I wouldn't commit as many players as I would say for like the main sack I talked about earlier. If you just want to send in like your demo and soldier to sack, maybe your pyro, that's fine too. Because when you're like around 30-40%, you should try and get that Uber as soon as possible. And that means if you only have, unless your scout is running Basher, which you don't have to run Basher. I like my scout running Basher. My team runs Basher, which I know it sounds weird in Highlander, but you get more utility out of it than you'd think. You're gonna want to have more players to beam to be able to get that Uber as fast as possible. So, but your scout's gonna need to get cart time if it's like to the point to where it can still be pushed. That's gonna be like here. So yeah, if you want to take a quick sack in, especially if your soldier has a good position or any other player that's going to be a sacker has a good position, then I'd say go for it. And like if they're down crucial players that are good for denying a sack, like Pyro, Heavy, etc., then I'd say go for it. So, yeah.
Okay,
Anything
I
else,
think
Purple?
I think we're good unless anyone else has another question.
Yeah. So
Yeah. let's move on to offense.
It is
or
a-
the defense. My bad.
It is quite a legendary point, so I understand why you guys had so many questions about it.
We've
Yeah.
just been having a lot of issues on last specifically in our scrim, so
So is my team. It's okay. My team is not very good at upward in our preseason, so trying to hit the grind so we don't lose on Monday. But yeah, I'll talk about holding. What did I go over? My team. I'm sure you all like individually know where you're supposed to be positioned. I don't think I really have to go over that, but usually the standard position is going to be like our gun's going to be here. Our heavy is going to be on playground supporting our sniper. That's usually going to be in playground. Our soldier can either play top right here, just spamming, making sure the spy can't get through, building up battalions back up, or he can play playground to support our players here on flank and on playground. Depends what you want to do. Try both, I'd say. Our demo and pyro mostly going to be playing around here, making sure that players from top right, tracks, and left side here are all pressured together. And your scout can rotate between spot, like being a little rat, spy checking, walking in if your demo here when damage is called, and supporting your players on playground. And your spy is mostly just going to be sitting on C and D, communicating stuff to your team. Most teams are going to run a sack. I'm sure you guys already know that. As a medic, I do not like sitting here during the sack wave. This is like the little pub Reddit place where most players are immediately going to ent for. So I don't like sitting here. I usually like to back up and play like around here behind the telly because I have better crosshair placement to spot what is running at me, and I'm just straight up harder to reach for other players, especially if they don't already spot you there, because like their soldier demo are mostly just going to ent here for cubby, because that's where most medics stay, and that's where it's the easiest place to get to. So even if you are called here, though, it's just straight up hard to reach you, especially if you have like a scout, pyro, gun, Pootis, all shooting the sackers. So just a medic main opinion I have there. Not
Is
really
there
well.
anywhere to sit on engineer besides the Reddit health pack? Because I usually sit there and generally don't die to it until after the exchange happens.
I mean, well, this is the sack, not really the exchange. I mean, if you want, no,
yeah.
it's really this is fine after the initial sack. I sit here as a med after the initial sack, and all things being equal, as NG, if it's safe for your med, it's usually safe for you. So it's usually fine to be here after the initial sack. During the initial sack, I'm mostly trying to spot spy, try to watch out for sackers, and if need be, wrangle my gun. I don't always do that because sometimes you just need it to like lock onto people automatically so your med doesn't eat shit if you lose track of sackers. I usually sit near my gun though during the initial sack wave with NG. So
All right. I found that spot is like more vulnerable in practice for me so far, just because the sniper can walk up the hill.
yeah, well,
Or
if your
my
team
team is not good
intelligent,
at denying that.
both your spy and your demo are going to be watching and pressuring this. This is during the initial sack, not the post fight you have to consider. So it's usually unlikely that their sniper's able to get a Reddit angle up here like top right. If he is, then your demo is awful. Your spy is awful for not spotting it. And if your spy does spot it, and for some reason this guy's able to go get that angle and your demo isn't shooting, your demo is terrible. So usually that is not allowed to happen during the initial sack. So
Okay.
but on to like actual holding. The initial sack, just have your med play here, I'd say, and like when it's done, not necessarily if it's done, but like if one or two of their sacking classes is dead, that's when I get your med into cubby here. That's all you really need to do. Make sure all your players have crit heals together, and mostly you just play your HP in here in cubby. So just buff all your players, heavy buff, sniper buff, your scout can get buffs, your demo can get beam, your pyro can get beam. To make sure that any potential pressure outside of the initial Uber, or not outside, but like in post fights, dry fights, is able to be dealt with accordingly. During the actual exchange, you're usually going to want to have demo pyro. Important to consider is that sometimes their Uber can be really, really dog shit. So you don't always have to immediately use it. They use here on top right. So if your pyro / gun / demo are all stuffing them very well, you might just not have to straight up use. And in that case, that puts your team in a very beneficial position because you have full ad, and it basically forces their team to take it a lot slower in any potential post fight because you have full ad. You can roll their entire combo at your will. I wouldn't recommend taking the full ad push into them unless your spy specifically spots that their heals are in a vulnerable position and your spy is able to contribute. Because usually defensive pushes with Uber when you're on red do not end well. So just consider that. For the most part, though, if you use in normal Uber exchange, you're gonna want to make sure that they can't take ground from top right, main, and left side here. So it's just important to consider that before any potential dry fight, that the players that are going to be peeking are properly buffed. So heavy, sniper, soldier, players that make playing playground, make sure they are buffed generally. Make sure you guys play for buffs when you get your crit heals at any point. And make sure that when there's pressure from an angle, your demo / pyro, although your pyro doesn't have to, if your pyro wants to play more passive and spy check, that's fine. Your scout as well are able to be properly healed and properly able to pressure. Your spy is going to call when and where they're going to push from, especially sniper, especially in regards to where his team is. So if they're walking up left trying to get a lot of ground here playground, make sure your demo is properly tanked. Your med usually can like sit here. Make sure your demo has like a 260 on him at all times. Same goes with your scout. Make sure that you just spam here. Try and coordinate it. Get your heavy or get your soldier to peek it at the same time with your scout and demo shooting it while they're healthy. And you should be able to deny most of their ability to get players onto playground during dry fights. Sniper positioning is obviously crucial to be able to hold this effectively, but if your spy's able to keep him on top, you guys are able to get good pressure on him, it's going to be hard for him to go peak stuff without his entire team playing with him. So that's the standard way of playing upward first, I'd say. It's not a point you like ultra commit on, but out of like all the payload firsts that are in rotation, it's definitely the one of the most potential to be potentially very powerful. So if you drop crucial players, what did I say? I think you guys know like what a crucial player is, but like I'd say if you're at a 3-player disadvantage at any point, or if you're down 2 to 3 crucial classes, I know 2 to 3 because if you're feeling confident, or if they're down players as well, you can commit even if you're down just 2 crucial classes. So I'd categorize crucial classes as being sniper, demo, pyro, heavy, NG, and medic. If you guys have good ground or they have players down, I'd say that the propensity to hold when you're down 2 crucial players is fine. If you're down 3 at any point, get out of there. If you're down 2, all things equal, if you're down like your NG and sniper, you got to get out of there. So just, you got to go over what I like to call the Trail of Tears. The reason why this is called the Trail of Tears is because look at this massive sight line your medic / engineer have to go over. So when you're leaving, just make sure that their sniper is properly spotted and that people are able to block any shots from him if you guys have to anyways. So like your heavy can stay out fast while your medic and NG cross behind him. Make sure they're safe and you guys retreat to second. Immediately when you guys get to this point, every player outside of like your whoever's spy checking, your pyro, scout, whatever, needs to look up here and here because very often the demo and soldier will try to go for a fast sack onto a player here, medic, NG, etc. And those are crucial players that you cannot afford to lose. Just make sure when you get up to this point of the hill, you have players ready to deny their sackers. On to holding second. The standard hold / forward hold / whatever you want to call it's going to involve most of your team on a hill. Your heavy and soldier are mostly going to be playing inside tunnel. What was it? Your scout, demo, pyro, medic are all going to be playing forward together on hill. Your sniper is going to be near the rest of your team. There's multiple options. You can play plat. You can play on the rocks. You can play here. Depends what you want to do. And your gun can be a multitude of places, either here, 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 etc. What you guys should try to refrain from doing at all times is hiding here behind the rock where the dispenser is. If you do that, you're just giving up a ton of ground, and it just forces your players, especially if your HP is doing this. This is a problem I've had recently. If your heals are not properly tanking the players pressuring here and here, then they're going to get free ground on hill, and they get a huge sight line, and you're going to lose crucial players. So just make sure you guys are holding your ground together and having your heals support the rest of your team accordingly. So it basically ensures that it's really hard for their sniper to get any angle up here in the hill, because this is what he has to do if he's peeking up here. He's got a deal of taking the SVS. He's got a deal of getting spammed by the demos. He's got a deal of being shot at by the scout. All while ideally your spy is spotting him and going for a stab potentially if there's an opportunity for it. So you just have everybody there pressuring him, ensuring this guy cannot play the game basically. So as long as you guys are playing together and have proper HP for it, he should not be able to peek much of anything. Again, before you guys take aggro peaks, though, make sure everyone is buffed. Play your crit heals. Wait, let me ask a question. Do you guys know the concept of crit heals? I like been talking about it the entire time. I forgot to ask.
Yeah,
yes.
I know.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of like players like in advanced who do not understand how crit heals works, but I think I'm a medic player, I should know. I think it's around like 7 seconds of if you don't take any damage, you get buffed / healed very quickly. So just play around that whenever you're preparing to peak something, and you should have a massive edge in that fight because you just have more HP, and it allows your team to win a lot harder. So, not as relevant on this as it is cough or pushing, but still just important to consider. Make sure players are all buffed together while they peak this, and it should be easy to shut down. If they try to take the exchange up here in hill, they have to use pretty early, and you guys have a decently better Uber whilst having height during it, and you're going to have better HP for the most part, so it's kind of hard for them to do anything there. If they, for some reason, decide to take it side tunnel, Pyro solo, if need be, take your demo. If need be, flash your demo around other potential players if they're dying, but really, a Pyro solo completely shuts down any side tunnel push, so just do that. If they do, like, if they do what I mentioned earlier, if their entire team trying to pressure tunnel, like your guys that are normally going to be here, that's going to be your soldier and heavy, make sure that they get the hell out of there, call it to your team, and play a bit passively. They can play up on hill if they want. They can play at the mouth of tunnel here. Your soldier can just spam here, build banner, etc. And make sure that if their combo is pushing it, that's called accordingly, so you can just Pyro solo them into oblivion, and it's absolute garbage. So, moving on to the passive hold. Yeah, the passive hold's not that good for obvious reasons. You have multiple options. If you're like at the pub place, you need to try to retake height as fast as possible. So, as for most things, make sure your sniper is able to peek accordingly. Even if your sniper's not, make sure that you get a spot on theirs. And if you guys all are buffed together and have any ability to go pressure from more than one angle, whether it be a soldier bomb, your spy going for a stab on a crucial player in their team, make sure you call all when at the same time to just walk through. Your demo can get good spam from up here. Your heavy can like walk around this corner, get big damage. Pyro can, be pyro. Your scout can just pressure off of what your demo does, and your sniper can peek with your team. So when you try to retake this ground, you'll ideally win that fight just off of being able to peek together all at the same time, all relatively healthy. If you do just sit here in the pub spot permanently against an intelligent team, they're just going to get card up slowly. They're going to get spam on you from height, and they're going to get a sightline, and there's really not much you can do at that point. So it's crucial that you try to retake this ground here as fast as possible. And make sure when you do it, you have pressure from more than one angle, and that you have everyone playing it together. No one can bait when you're calling that. If you guys are like really, really passive, but you still want to get pressure on second, going out tracks, so like here from spawn to tracks is fine too. So work your sniper here with your heals. Call it time when you guys want to walk through tracks together, and just try to retake ground accordingly to this. Usually you're going to do that if they like already got this area completely walled off here. So just make sure your sniper is able to peek with the rest of your team while you're doing this, and you might be able to retake ground, but Main thing I want you guys to know about upward second is you can't bait each other, you can't give up space for free, and you need to be prepared to re-walk together all at the same time when you do lose ground and have to retake it. So I don't want to see sitting behind the dispenser here. I don't want to see huddling in the pub spot together like it's 2016 and we're watching the DK Caro review. I want you guys to be playing together, playing healthy, and playing aggressive, ready to not deny space. Is there any questions you guys have about second?
Okay, this came up as like a fringe situation in one of our scrims where I wound up on second holding hill, but I just didn't have any tunnel players. What is the solution? I don't know how we held that at all.
Do you not have were your soldier and heavy both dead?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, it's fine to play a bit intermediary around like this point, I'd say, because really what matters is the core combo players can be you, your scout, your pyro, and obviously your medic, and your sniper able to take this ground here to deny the bulk of their team from taking this space across hill. If you want to bait and delay a bit to get players inside, that's fine. If you think you have the opportunity to, you can work other players that normally be playing around their two sides. You have to be careful of stuff like spy or people walking your demo because you're going to have to relegate either your scout or your pyro. Your pyro is probably going to be better than your scout inside. You can relegate them to do that. But you can just like delay a bit here as long as your sniper is posted up here to be able to retake this ground here aggressive on hill whilst you have players inside. You can delay a bit. As long as you have your sniper with you, you should be able to retake this ground. Anything else about this point?
No.
Well, it's an hour. All right. Ugh. All right. Upward third. Oh man. This is the point where if you bait your players, you will lose. I have learned that the hard way. But all right, let's go. So what did I talk about? The main thing you're going to want to do for upward third, which is similar to second, is you need to know when their team is pushing, where their team is pushing, and when you have that information, usually it's going to be from your spy, but other players can spot it too as long as they have vision on where their team is. You're going to make sure you all peak together, all relatively healthy, and make sure that the players that are next to HP are being tanked throughout the entire fight. So, sniper calls, as usual, are going to be crucial to this. But the main thing is just knowing where players of their team are, especially their combo, especially when they try to clear stuff. You can get up on here as heavy if you get whipped. So if you guys want to hold aggro and have your heavy and soldier play up here on cat, that works too. So heavy and soldier can be up here in cat. That's pretty powerful potentially if you want to forward it. I'll go over the quote-unquote forward hold on this real quick. It's mostly just playing your heels bend. Heavy and soldier are going to play cat like similarly to normal. You can whip your heavy up here. I can't really give an example, but you can do it. It's like have your heavy go here. Have him get whipped. You can make it. I'm just dumb. Same thing. Your medic can like stay here in the stairs. Your demo is able to like spam, deny this ground here and here. Your sniper can peek with your team either up here on bend or play tracks. Although you, like I said earlier, you're pretty vulnerable on tracks and you're far away from HP, so you either get backstabbed or you get sniped there. So just be careful. And your pyro can just do the normal pyro stuff. Your gun can be like here. Your sniper can. Well, I already said what your sniper can do. And your scout can like roam around. On this point, your scout doesn't really need to play inside beam that often. A lot of this point's really just spotting flank and crusting for the spy. So just make sure that players have defined roles in this forward hold. It's relatively new. It's something that I saw Hood do in preseason scrims, and it's worked decently so far from what I've watched because a lot of teams aren't really used to it. So just make sure your heals are like sitting stairs. Players on cat have proper HP. Make sure that you guys are able to deny these doorways, whether by sniper, demo spam, players shooting from cat, etc. And it should be a good thing to delay them. Moving on to the more traditional hold we're all familiar with. Heavy can play bend, soldier can play cat, your gun can be whatever amount of length you want on tracks. It don't matter. Your demo is going to be spamming all sorts of places, whether it be slope, tracks. Your scout, like I said, is going to be spotting flank, looking for the spine shit house. Your medic's usually just going to be sitting here in the dispenser, although when your team calls, you want to peek accordingly to make sure that you tank your proper players. Your pyro is just going to be doing pyro shit. I'm sure you know what to do there. Again, the main thing you want to be concerned with is peeking together at the same time. So if their team is taking ground off of, say, slope, for example, you're going to want to deal with that, especially in any potential dry fight. Make sure all your players are buffed. If players peek this by themselves, especially if their sniper has an angle either from house or from cat, you will drop a bunch of crucial players and you will lose in a potential post-fight after Uber exchange. So make sure if your sniper tries to take the peek here into house or into cat or even aggro here into tracks that you have players supporting him. The same goes for your demo. So make sure that they all have proper HP. They have players walking with them. That can be your demo. That can be your heavy. That can be your pyro. That could be your scout. That can be your med tanking them. Just make sure you do not individually take this angle because you will likely die to their sniper otherwise. The same thing goes for if their team is taking the dry fight up here on the slope. So if it's spotted, their entire combo is walking here up on the slope. Make sure that your demo is properly supported with your pyro, your heavy peeking through bend, your soldier possibly popping a banner if you guys are around here, or just getting good spam from cat, and make sure the HP is on your guys peeking forward here. So really the main thing about this point is making sure you guys don't play too passive when they're taking ground, and when they do take ground, make sure you peek together and with good health. Whether it be from bend, main tracks here, sniper peeking with your team, just make sure you guys do it together, and you should be able to deny any ground in any potential post fight. And that's most of what I have to say for third. It's similar to second, although you have a natural advantage of not having to worry about as much stuff, and you have a sight line that's a bit more biased to your side. Not to mention the gun's a bit better here at supporting your team. Also, it's very hard for the spy to get much work done here, so it's evolved second in many ways in how you play it. Is there any questions you guys have about third?
I have a question. It more so goes to like every point, honestly.
Yeah.
Should I be playing to get an exchange before I leave? Because I remember being given that advice by, I think, Casper back a while ago, that I should never give up a point without first taking an exchange.
Yeah, I agree. If
Pretty
both
much no
medics
matter.
have, yeah, I agree with Casper. If both meds have Uber, then you're gonna want to get that Uber out on that point. If you like drop an unreal amount of players for whatever reason, which you should ideally not be dropping that many players to begin with, if you guys just peek equipped together and with good HP, then you shouldn't have to worry about it. If you do for whatever reason and you think it's just worthless, then if you want, you can get out. If there's like absolutely no one that can take the Uber, but you should not be in that situation regardless. But yeah, for the most part, Casper's right there. I agree. You should not just give up any given point with Uber charge. That's ridiculous if you do. Usually you only do that because you're dropping a bunch of players, which means you guys are not playing intelligently and together. So
I do ask, since I do run the risk of their medic just pressing S and not using, and then we're stuck on disadding tiles.
you're talking about using into them?
Or no, just forcing an exchange in general.
The attacking team is the one who has to take the initiative to do that, because they aren't the ones who don't have to like push into anything. They have to get the objective here, and that means dealing with the players that will shoot the objective around here. And that means they have to use an Uber. The red team does not need to do that. I would highly discourage, basically at any point, unless your spy specifically calls it, for you to take an offensive Uber into them. So.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. It's just like the only fear I've ever had is like just them just not using.
Well, you guys, they have to get cart here, and if for some reason they're able to do this and both medics have Uber, then people are being what I like to call baiting shitties for not killing like the scout and engineer sitting here on cart. So.
Okay, so it's probably just a non-issue.
It shouldn't be a non-issue if you guys are playing it properly. If people are unable to like walk out here to kill the cart players, then you guys have a lot of problems. I'm sorry. That's just like that should not be allowed to happen ever. If they're just able to waltz up cart here for free. You guys have a bunch of players and you have Uber. That should not be allowed to happen. So, yeah. Anything else about third? Is that all? All right.
So
On what is it?
last.
Last. Yep, on to last. This is a bit over an hour. Yeah, welcome to Upward. So we all know the standard tiles hold. It's good, old. It works very well if you guys are able to get players out from third. So if you get enough players able to reinforce it, so I'd say 3 players plus your medic is usually the safe threshold to be able to get a good tiles hold setup out of third. So for example, let's say you lose like your demo and your pyro. It's hard to hold that, but if you guys are confident enough to where you can keep holding it if just like your heavy soldier, scout, and sniper playing together in tiles. Because demo can jump up, your pyro is usually able to run through up here reasonably quickly through lower. So if you want to do that, it's fine. If you drop too many players to where you don't think you can hold tiles at all, you can also do that. So you can just hold the pub spot, that's fine too. You have multiple options for what you want to do in this point. Tiles is pretty good, but pub spot's also pretty good. What is it? K&D basically gave up on doing tile holds, and they mostly just played pub spot the entire time, which is fine. I don't really think it's the best. Then again, Demento knows more about Highlander than I do, but K&D did that, so pub spot is definitely viable. There's multiple ways to play it, but I'm not going to go over that right now. Let's talk about tiles, or good old-fashioned tiles hold. So once again, all things being equal, you have getting the tele exit here in tiles is pretty important to do because like specifically in this corner, you're not exposed to the sniper sight line. It doesn't really get exposed to spam, and it's just the best possible tele spot here in secret. So, yeah, you already know about the dispenser block. NG, I'm assuming you know this, but if you like can't get into tiles like when you're leaving third, you can sentry jump up there. Do you know how to do that? Okay.
Yep, I practiced that particular jump every pregame on this map.
I practiced that a lot too last season. Where I had scrims. I'm on soldier right now, but yeah, you can just like, what was it?
Yeah, it's like a jump
You
off
just, like,
that wall
yeah,
into
like,
clock.
Get the rocket
and-
down to like this spot, and then like you can just. Oh my internet is struggling, but like yeah, you can just get it to here, put the exit down here. Make sure that the entrance is not able for their spy to be easily taken. So I usually just put my entrance here top right because I've seen some
usually I put
NGs.
it like right behind the dispenser on the left spawn so that it's not like they don't have the extra embarrassing possibility of accidentally standing on it and taking it.
Well,
But
people should just
that's
like have the
whatever.
awareness to not do that. But I don't like it right next to the dispenser personally because if like the soldier kills your dispenser, the spy is able to get through the telly much faster than you're able to spot it potentially, and that means he can get a crucial pick on your team a lot quicker than you would anticipate. So I don't really like having it right next to the dispenser. I usually like just having it top right because it's close to where I'm usually going to be, like around this bridge area, to where I can spot it and call it and potentially just kill the spy straight up. So
That's fair. When is the sentry in tiles a viable option?
I'm not a fan of having the gun in tiles. I never really tried it last season. If like their entire team wipes, where you get your gun out from if you get your gun out from, what do you call it? You get your gun
From
out from
third?
third. Yeah, sorry, I'm like a little crazy right now. It's fine, but I think pub spot's just so much better because it's just an extra line of defense to your team after they potentially lose tiles. It's going down with the rest of your team in tile. They get pushed out of it, and like, what is it realistically gonna like? It's annoying for like it's an annoyance.
It
for, like,
watches
the
main,
exchange
and then
here.
I like if I try to repair it there, then the sniper is probably watching that angle, and I just die to a headshot.
Yeah,
Is what normally happens if I get the chance to do that.
I don't. I don't like this spot at all. I don't think you should do it as NG. If you want to get like a dispenser up here, potentially that's fine, but then you make yourself vulnerable to the spy. So I don't like this spot as NG. I wouldn't recommend doing it. That's my opinion on it. Pub spot's fine.
real.
Along the bridge and wrangling it is fine, etc. Just do what you think is best. During this hold, any hold, you're gonna make sure you want to have at least one person spotting lower. Whether that's your spy or your scout, it's up to you. Your scout's really not going to be doing much in tiles. Oh yeah, I forgot to like go over the tile crap. I went like an engineered tangent that's like completely irrelevant to everything. But you're usually gonna want to have your soldier watching clock. You can have your demo supporting him, either rotating between spamming clock and spamming lower up where their team is. Your heavy can mostly just like sit here, be a big dude, make sure their spy can't get up top, and your sniper can just like play here in height, make sure to kill shit in main, get this angle clock, kill players trying to go there, etc. Is the crate angle still here? I don't know. Yeah, it's not gonna work with a rocket launcher.
Yeah,
Is
I
this
got
even
rid
the
of
right
the
version?
crate
I think it's
angle.
the wrong version. Yeah, the Wish server is using the wrong version. Whatever, same thing. So
You can't really peek through the middle of crates anymore.
yeah,
I usually just play really cringe. I just like Aeon peek in that spot right there.
I mean, corner sniping's always a good option if it's real gay to do. I don't really care. I'm terrible at sniping.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of this is pretty standard. Make sure that you spot stuff from lower and from Harry Potter. So if this soldier's allowed to like jump here uncalled and forces or drops their med, that cannot be allowed to happen. So just really the main thing that matters about this is calling when their team is pushing a specific place and making sure you have the right people in the right position to deal with it. So if they're pushing upstairs, which is the standard place to go, either a pyro or a heavy solo is fine. I'd recommend deciding on whether it's going to be a heavy or pyro solo dependent on when you see the pyro or not. If the pyro is not coming up with their team here, a heavy solo is very good to just be a big wall here and make sure no one can run up and your medic can like sit here too. Basically body blocks their entire team. If they do have a pyro with them, a pyro solo is fine too. Your demo should try and stay out of this as possible. If he needs a flash, that's fine, but usually it should be a heavier pyro solo in my opinion, because they're gonna have to flash more than you, and you're just gonna have the better Uber if it's like a 9-second in either of those two classes. Make sure that clock is spotted during the potential post though, because if it's not, then the collapse I talked about earlier is definitely something you are vulnerable to. Although the div you guys are in, it's probably not as good. What is crucial though for post fights and in most scenarios when you're holding tiles is this is spotted and make sure their sniper is not allowed to peek this. Your soldier is usually going to be the one to kill the sniper, or your demo can spam it as well, because if this sniper is allowed to peek this, your medic and other crucial players, like say maybe your sniper or demo, are pinned down here, and they can easily get spammed out, or they have to risk dying to the sniper here. So just make sure that's spotted and pressured out accordingly. That's most of tiles. Eventually, you'll probably lose it unless you just get like the God hold, where their team's like really incompetent and having a post fight. Let's move to the pub spot real quick. I've been talking for well over an hour at this point. Pub hold's usually just going to be, you can have your demo, pyro, medic on height. Your scout can play with you guys if you want. You can also have your sniper with you all too. Make sure you have at least someone playing bottom here, watching main. That can be your heavy if you wish. You can have your heals here too. I usually wouldn't recommend having your heals down here though, unless you guys are preparing to retake tiles if like their team wipes. Usually you want to have your heals on height because you're just at a better vantage point and it's easier to support your players, such as your sniper and your engineer here. Just make sure you're spotting their sniper. If they try to come into a fight, you guys maintain that high ground. Make sure the cart's pressured. Make sure that players that can go in for a collapse, like spy and soldier, are properly dealt with. And you should be able to hold this ground for a very long time. Just make sure that sniper's called, especially in tiles, or else you risk losing crucial players in your team. And you should be able to hold this for a very long time. A lot of players are not entirely familiar how to deal with it. So that's basically the pub hold. Is there any like other specific questions you guys have for last? I I'm kind of getting this is going on for a while, so that's why I'm like a bit vague of what I want you guys to try to do on this point.
What's your opinion on coming up crits if you're on pups on the pup hold?
If you want to try crits, you can. I would not recommend it though, unless like both meds die at the same time, which that can happen. If you want to try it, I'd say in that scenario, give it a go. I think crits most of the time on payload defense is not very good because you're not going to be wanting to take your Ubers in offensively on defense most of the time. It's on their team to do that to you. When you're on crits, all the time, you have to take your Ubers in offensively. So you can try it if you like die around the same time as your med and you're confident in your ability to build it quickly. But I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. So, anything else? Is that all for upward last?
I
think we're
don't really
good.
have anything.
Yeah, I
Alright.
think we're good, dude.
Alright.
It's been an hour and a half.
Okay. Is that all then? All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I went over like an hour-long map review right before this with my team.